Okay, let's just dive right in. You have probably heard it everywhere, from TikTok videos to maybe even your own dinner table. The word is Rizz. And look, it can feel like solid proof that younger generations are speaking a completely different language. But what if that's not really true? What if, under the surface of all this new slang, we're all just talking about the same things we always have?
This idea is actually at the very heart of the book, the Generation Slang Handbook. The subtitle on the cover here really says it all. We've all been saying the same thing. And that is the powerful premise we're going to explore today. We're going to use Rizz as our main piece of evidence.
So, this brings us to the big question, right? Is Gen Z actually speaking a brand new language, or are they just using a new dictionary for the same old ideas? Well, let's find out. First up, same idea, new words. Let's really dig into this core concept that the ideas we care about are pretty much timeless, even when the words we use for them change completely. I mean, think about it. You always hear about these huge divides between boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. But what if the fundamental human experiences, our desires, our fears, our social dynamics, what if they don't actually change all that much? Maybe the only thing that's really changing is the label we decide to stick on them. All right, section 2, the anatomy of Rizz. Let's put this word under the microscope and see what it's really all about.
So what even is it? Well, as the definition here shows, Rizz is really just a shortened form of the word charisma. It's that skill, that art of charming a potential romantic partner. The ability itself is totally timeless, but the packaging, that's brand new.
And here's a perfect example of it in action. Notice the key idea in this sentence is effortlessly. See, Rizz isn't about trying too hard or having a bunch of cheesy pickup lines. It's a natural, almost magnetic quality, kind of like a social superpower. And that's the beauty of great slang, isn't it? It takes this really complex concept of innate charm, smooth conversation, and this kind of seductive confidence, and it boils it all down to one single punchy word, Rizz. Now for section 3, echoes through the generations. So if Rizz is just charisma, well, it stands to reason that previous generations had their own word for it, right? And of course, they did. Let's trace that lineage. This timeline illustrates the point perfectly. Just follow the progression here. In the 50s, it was simply charm. Then you jump to the 70s, it was mojo. By the 90s, it became game. And now, here we are in the 2020s, and it's Rizz. 4 completely different words, but it's the same core concept, just wearing a different outfit for each era. This table puts it all side by side so you can really see it. A millennial might say she has great game. A boomer might say he turned on the charm. And for Gen Z, they have unspoken Rizz. Look at that. The scenarios are identical. It's the same play, just with one word swapped out in the script. And that's the takeaway right there. Whether you call it charm, mojo, game, or Rizz, we're all describing that same undeniable magnetic pull that some people just have. This brings up a fantastic question, though. If the idea is the same, why bother changing the word at all? I mean, why couldn't we all just keep saying charm? Well, it turns out there are some very important social reasons for this cycle. Slang is kind of like a uniform, you know? It creates a unique identity, a sense of belonging. If you use a word like Rizz, you're signaling that you're part of the current cultural moment. It's also, as we said, a great shortcut for a complex idea. And honestly, it just keeps our language fresh, creative, and fun. So maybe the best way to think about it is this. Slang isn't about destroying the past or replacing these timeless concepts. It's a creative act of rebranding. Each generation takes these fundamental human ideas and gives them a fresh coat of paint to make them their own. So finally, what does all of this say about us? Let's pull back and look at the big picture here, regardless of when we were born. And this is the bottom line. The words we use are always going to evolve. They'll shift and shrink and get remixed, but the underlying human experiences, the desire for connection, the admiration for charisma, the need to belong, those things are constant. The technology changes, the fashion changes, and yep, the slang changes. But people, fundamentally, we stay the same. So I'll leave you with this final thought, a question for you. Forget Rizz for just a moment. Think back to your generation. What was the word? Was it fat? Da bomb? Groovy? What's a piece of slang you used that just perfectly captured an idea and that maybe, just maybe, the world needs to bring back? Something to think about.